Do you believe marketing your small business is only about ads, promotions, and social media posts? The truth is, your customer experience is your marketing. Every detail from the way your storefront looks to the personal touches you share with your customers shapes how people feel about your brand and whether they'll come back. In this episode of Mastering Local Marketing, we uncover 9 proven ways to turn everyday customer interactions and experiences into powerful marketing moments. You'll learn 1, the secret message you're sending to your customer that could be good or bad. How your products and services might be the one thing that confuses everyone. That would be my business, just so you know. Why your employees need to be on the same page. And number 4, how what we expect and what we get are key to driving long-term sales and growth. The curse of shopping. He's Matt Hansen. I'm Jim Delo. Matt Hansen is a digital marketing professor at Purdue Northwest, and I am just a person who sells a whole bunch of different things. What's the curse of shopping mean to you, Professor?
Oh, the curse of shopping to me. So my family loves to shop, and I absolutely cannot stand going shopping because I've been in this industry for so long, and I've done so many consulting efforts and worked with so many businesses that every single time that I look or I walk into a store, I'm critiquing everything. And it's kind of a curse because I'll look at my wife, my daughter, my son, and I'll say, do you see that? Do you see this? They could have done this better. And it's all of these things that go through my mind as I'm walking into it. So we had gone shopping this week, and I thought, let's kind of touch on some of those things. So I came up with 9 of them that we're going to talk about today. But, realize that no matter how many times you put ads out there, you do social posts, whatever it may be, the experience is what people are going to remember. And we were kind of talking off camera, you meeting people on a regular basis and the experience, and is it a memorable moment or is it not a memorable moment? I think you have to look at it, the experience that your customers have through the eyes of your customer, not just yourself.
So we're basically talking about physical locations today?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, it can transfer over. Oh, let me try that again. Can transfer over to the digital space as well, or phone, or anything like that. But it's all about experience, right? And you've had bad experiences with companies, with customers, right? Like we all have these experiences that we go through, and it sticks with you, right? So if let's say for example, you walk up, you're being treated really rude. Stuff is everywhere. The place looks like a dump. You're not getting any service. You may have bought the greatest product or got the greatest service from that place, but you're going to remember those instances of your experience dealing with this company and the person that's running it.
So you have written here, clean and simple storefront. I am so glad that you brought that up because after doing almost 70 of these episodes and taking your ridiculously long and sometimes boring MBA courses.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're welcome. But I too do this, and my wife gets it because I've been basically your disciple for a while now, and I do this a lot. And the number one thing that gets me on our website, you go to our website right now, Jed TV Sports Network, it's very clean and simple, is just that. It needs to be clean and simple. All sorts of writing or even like Purdue Northwest billboard over here on the Borman. It's like, hey, there's about PNW. And then you had to put all the sponsors on there. And then it just took away from the message. And I'm like, what was it they were trying to say again? Because they put Pepsi up there and they put Domino's up there. And it's like, you know what? It needs to be clean and simple on that billboard. But you also need that when you come to the retail location.
Right. So think of it, you're walking into a retail location and you look at the front of the store and maybe there's a light out in the sign, maybe there's a letter missing. There's a client that I'm dealing with right now that has a letter missing from their sign. It's driving me insane every time I see it. That to me says that we are not willing to take care of ourselves. How do you think we're going to take care of you? Right? So think about that, right? So we're not willing to clean up, to make sure that our appearance is perfect. Maybe you're tripping over things when you walk in the door. The aisles are really small. It's, just you can't find anything. There's stuff everywhere. There's no organization to it. There's no zones. There's no racetrack walk-through area. I mean, it's just stuff everywhere. And when you get that, it's an uncomfortable experience, right? So think of it in terms of you have a basement and you put everything, all the stuff that you don't want to deal with in the basement. And if you just let it go for years and years and years, what happens? It clutters up. You trip over things. There's stuff everywhere. Imagine trying to sell something in that environment, or you're seeing, again, the front of the store looks dingy, and I get it that we don't have all of this money to do all these wonderful things that we want to do, but try to look at it through the eyes of the customer. I'm walking in, first thing I see is your light is burnt out on your sign. The next thing that I see as I walk in, I'm tripping over a bunch of stuff by the front door. Three more steps in, the person at the front desk hasn't even looked up to recognize who I am. Okay, I feel like I'm a teenager about to rob a store because they're just not paying attention to me, right? Like, it's horrible. It's a horrible feeling. People should be looking at you and saying, welcome, come on in. And you're just not seeing that with some of these things that we're going to talk about today.
We have a producer that puts all of this together. And if you want your own podcast, you just do Adriana at WJOB1230.com. That's with Adriana with 2 N's. But did he just admit to robbing stores when he was a teenager?
I didn't rob
knowing what it feels like? I feel like I'm a teenager.
I feel like every single person, if you didn't steal a piece of candy from a store, then you didn't actually go to a store as a kid.
Okay.
I guess I never went to a store.
He's not going to admit to anything. Hey, you get to the next part of it, though. By the way, give me an example of a store that a segment that is often not clean and simple. I'll give you one to start off with.
Sure.
I'm not a huge gun guy, but I'll go once in a while wherever. I'll wind up in a gun store for whatever reason, and they're almost all kind of dingy and unorganized, and it's like that's not part of the game. It's almost like it's supposed to be kind of dingy and unorganized with bad lighting, and I really wish they would clean the carpet, right?
Right.
Or that little thin, I don't even know if it's carpet. It could be linoleum. What's one that is typically in your mind?
Oh, the ones that drive me crazy are the restaurants that you walk in.
Tomato under the cart in the corner.
Yeah, you see food on the floor, or just dust in a corner. I mean, if that's the forward-facing part of it, what's the back look like?
Speaking of restaurants, let's talk about the layout flow of the store. You say it's a retail store. You said the racetrack, what's that mean?
Yeah, so a racetrack is the flow that you want a customer, when they walk into your store, how you want them to walk around your store, right? So we typically, when we walk in the front door, head to the right. And when we head to the right, we start to look at things. Typically, it's something that's either hitting us right in front, like disrupting our walk, or we look to the right and we follow the walls along the way, and then we come back around, go to the left, and then follow back up the store on the other wall. So when you build the flow of your store, what you're trying to do is create zones. And these zones are high profit margins, typically go right when you first walk in. Things that are selling quickly, quick turn, high profit margins are on the right-hand side. Up front, we want people to see them right away. The things that are turning over constantly, right? So if it's been sitting on the shelves for 9 months, I guarantee you it's not up front in high demand in the right-hand side of your store. That's usually probably something that's on the left-hand side in the back of the store, usually by a sale rack or whatever it may be. But you've got to look at your store in terms of zones. And what those zones are profit, turn, those types of things. So when I say turn, what I mean by is if I put something on that shelf, how often is that product disappearing and reappearing and then selling again and then selling again. So we're talking about how many times you turn that product over, whether it's a week, a month, or a year. So we look at that and we want to create those zones as soon as you walk in. Now, what we're talking about today is we see a lot of times you walk in and there's just stuff everywhere and your eye doesn't know where to go. What I'm saying is look at what sells, look at your data, understand. You probably don't even have to look at your data to understand what sells most often. But you'll find a variety of products that turn rather quickly that are decent margins. Put those up in that front spot. And then if there's some area that you want people to stop and kind of look, put a barrier there, right? It makes people stop walking, makes them look at what's stopping them. So those are types of things, just simple things that we can talk about here in this quick podcast. But the idea is that most stores don't put thought into that, and they just place things because they think it looks good, but you're actually hurting your profitability.
This is one of the things that I kind of disagree with my staff on. Mm-hmm. The next one, the third part of this 9 segments, is streamlining the product. I don't ever want more than 3 choices. And it's so easy to look on websites right now and say, here's number 1, here's number 2, and then here's number 3. Almost everybody is 3 blocks on a website. That's what you choose, right? But then you go into actual stores, and there's so many sizes and so many colors and so many choices of all, especially apparel. And sometimes I'm like, man, I really just want to choose the red or the white one or the blue shirt. And that's it. Not all these different collars, all these different buttons, all these different pockets, all that kind of stuff. And those kind of stores turn me off.
Yeah, we get exhausted when we have too many options. We get the analysis by paralysis, right? It doesn't matter where you're at. I mean, if you go to a restaurant that has a 12-page menu, I have no idea what I'm going to order. I'm going to go to something old, reliable that I've ordered in the past, right?
Do you have a club sandwich on here anywhere?
Right, exactly.
That's it.
Exactly.
Yeah, where is it? Oh,
that's
it's
on page
there.
8.
It's on page 8, right there at the bottom. No, up. Right there.
Yeah.
There it is, yeah.
Yeah, it's stuff like that, right? Like there's too many options, and what ends up happening is you're actually costing your business more money because you have all of this different, from a restaurant point of view, you've got all of this different food in the back waiting for that one person to order a club sandwich. But maybe you've got something completely drastic like chicken piccata on the side over here, which the two don't necessarily go hand in hand for a restaurant, but you'll find menus where they're both on there. So that stuff is sitting back there, and you're holding significant inventory, right, which is costing you money in turn and all this other stuff. So what we're saying here is keep it simple because most people won't look through all the options. They're going to want to look at a few options, and it's easier to make a decision based off of that, right? So I see this all the time.
Oh, I mean, I'll just give the example, and that is that we sell a lot of advertising now for our sports network. It's kind of something new to us in that, we were growing. We just started it up, and we've kind of disrupted the streaming video for sports. And then we go and we sit down. I was like, well, how much is it? And then it's like, well, you could do this, you could do that, you could do this. And I'm sure Peter's listening, or he's not out there. And we know the product really well, and this will give them more value, that'll give them more value. But typically, the average business owner or the head of a marketing department really just wants to know the price, and they really just want 3. Usually, they'll say, well, this is our budget, and so we'll go in and say we got $1,000 a month, and then we'll say, well. Here's $1,000 a month you can have, but, for $1,500 a month, you can have this. And then you double load $1,500 because that is what you taught us to do in terms of the pricing, load up that second level. And you're right. We may go 1,000, 1,500, 3,000, I think is and the 3,000 is for the really bigger companies. But, in the end, it's only three choices, and it took us a long time to get to that. And I just want to put that out there. Just, in my mind, three's the max. Two's probably isn't, it's just too ong yang, is kind of balanced or whatever. I like one or three. This is what it costs. It's 99 cents. You want it? Buy it. This, or you could get this. You could get this, A, B, or C. Those are your three choices. Yeah. What about, and I think we're going to probably have to do this, the experience being your local marketing. Probably have to cut this up into two. So this one's going to take a while. Your staff. That's what shows up to your clients or your potential clients. Just in general, I mean, how do you train them? How do you get ready so that they are your marketing?
Yeah, I think small business owners don't think about their employees when they think about marketing. And employees are the number one front for pushing out your business, right? So people will ask them about their job, where they work, what they do you like it, what do you guys offer, all of those types of things. And many times, an owner doesn't have that conversation with the employee to say, what questions do you have? Do you understand this is what we offer? I would like your feedback. I would like to know what the customers are saying. How can we improve? If you have an idea, please share it with us. We want to integrate your ideas as well. Like, if you never have those conversations with your staff, many times they're not going to say a word to you. And especially if you're kind of a grumpy person, they're not going to approach you either. Now, and the reason I say grumpy...
Present company excluded or what?
I'm not talking about you, but I was laughing
earlier. I think you were talking about yourself.
I was talking about myself because...
Exactly.
I was in a meeting earlier today, and one of my coworkers leans over and he goes, "Are you not happy to be here today?" And I said, "No, I've got this resting mat face that means nothing. It's just the fact that I forget to smile sometimes, and
You're smiling now.
I know, but
like falsely.
But my face when I'm sitting in a meeting, many times I'm not smiling, so I look like I'm mad. And my wife says this to me all the time. She's like, why do you look so mean? I go, I'm not trying to look mean. It's just a look that I have, right? But think about that. If you're sitting in with your staff and you're having these conversations with them and you're telling them to do things and you've got that resting mat face, as I call it, right? And you don't mean anything by it and you're not listening to them and you're not taking their advice and you're not asking them questions.
She's laughing
at me. Yeah, exactly.
She's not laughing at you.
Well, no, because I relate to that very heavily, but then also it's called something else, and I'm like, yeah, I know what it's called.
Yeah,
we just can't say that on the air.
All right, let's just ask this. This is my staff, or one of them. Now, would you consider me a grumpy person?
No.
How about like when I'm doing the show and I'm being real nice to Matt and I had the mayor on today and I forget who the other people were that I interviewed on the show.
Yeah, John Dordry on.
Yeah, I mean a bunch of people, but I think what happened was I take a break, and when you're doing a TV and a radio show, you go in and you go in and talk to the producer, and we were training a woman today, and I think that she sees me and all she's ever really dealt was you trained her. And then I went out into the production room and I just kind of said, hey, do this, 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 and this. And I think she was kind of taken aback because, I'm usually have a flow to it. But in between on the breaks, I'm like kind of abrupt and direct and kind of commands, and that's it. And I don't know if that's a good way to train your staff or not, but it's an efficient way because I'm not going to say it twice, you know what I mean? Yep. But I'm hoping that she sees that when I'm talking to you or I'm on the air or I'm on a sales call, that there is a certain joviality or just a certain, happy-go-lucky area to it. But if you are the grumpy boss and all you're ever going to show them is grumpy, then they're going to kind of think that's how you're supposed to treat customers.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, that the way you treat others is the way that they're going to see, oh, well, this is how we treat, right? And honestly, too, you have to tell your staff to have their ears open when they're dealing with customers, because your customers are going to tell you the direction of your business. I've had many clients through the years where the customer has told them what they want and they were going in a different direction and were unwilling to listen to the customer and they've gone out of business, right? So you have that communication where your people in the field or your people in a retail store or at a restaurant or whatever are listening to your customers and your customers are providing feedback, but there's no way for that information to get back to you because they're not sharing it with you. And that is not a good thing because you want to stay in business, right? It doesn't matter. Like if you have an idea for a business, yes, it'd be great if you hit it 100%. This is exactly how the business should be. 9 times out of 10, there's always, always, always room for improvement that your customers will provide. They probably won't provide it to you or I at the head of the company, but they'll provide it to the people that they're talking to in the hallways, in the at the front of the store, whatever it may be. So from a managerial standpoint, I'm getting into the College of Business managerial playbook here, is to, instead of you standing at the top of your customer or at the top of your staff yelling down at them, you should be on the bottom pushing them up and giving them the tools that they need. So when I talk to my staff, the number one thing that I always say to them when I first walk in is, what are you struggling with and what do you need me to do for you? I don't tell them to do anything. I literally say I am here to support you. What are people talking about that we need to initiate, that we need to think about, changes we need to make? They know where we're heading, but the question that I always ask is, how can I support you? How can we make it better? How can I help? And we should be having those same conversations with our staff to push that on to the customer, because when you say that to the customer, how are we supporting you? Is our product or service satisfying everything? How can we be better? What can we do to improve on what we do? Right? That's going to take you to that next level. And I don't think we have those conversations on a regular basis, but I think you need to.
This is, of course, Mastering Local Marketing, and it's a little secret. The experience at your business is your best marketing. We've already talked about 4 parts of that, and keep it clean and simple. Look at the layout of the store. Don't have too many choices. Do to streamline the product, and of course, train your staff and make sure that everybody's on the same page. It's only 4 of the 9. I'll tell you what. In the next episode, we'll pick it up again and do 5 through 9. So stay tuned. We'll be right back on the next episode, which would be episode 68. Thanks a lot, Matt.
Thank you.
Until next time, we'll see you later.